There's a really common statement that comes up whenever people are talking about Vision Pro and visionOS, and it's one that I actually fundamentally disagree with, at least on this particular product, and it kind of bugs me how often it gets brought up. So that's why in today's video, I'll be explaining why the next big product category for Apple is not necessarily up to third-party developers. Let's begin. So it's great that they announced it at DubDub because clearly there is a lot of app optimization that needs to be done, but personally, I think a lot of that stuff is inevitable, and they already showcased it during the keynote. Vision Pro out the box should already be capable of running most iOS and iPadOS apps. There's a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done, but for the most part, I think a lot of the hand tracking and eye tracking is going to be able to replicate a touch-optimized user interface pretty well, and iPadOS, as much as I may complain about it, is kind of the versatile middle ground, right? Because you can do a touch optimized way of using iPadOS apps, or you can do keyboard and mouse optimized ways, because iPads have had trackpad support for the past couple of years, which means that you can move a trackpad around the UI and it kind of highlights different things. And I think similarly, you'll be able to move your eyes around iPad apps with visionOS and have them highlight certain bubbles, and it should translate pretty easily. But I think there's lots of limiting factors preventing Vision Pro from going mainstream. You know, I'm excited by it. I think there's lots to talk about, and I do think that visionOS is going to become a bigger part of our future. I don't think it will replace the smartphone, just for the record, but I do think it will transform what we use our phones for, and I think they will progressively become more and more of a camera-focused device and less of a media consumption device as visionOS becomes more widespread and more affordable and accessible. But as I start visualizing all of the potential use cases for Vision Pro, all of the ways it could start to replace media consumption devices, at least, or media consumption use cases that we have for our laptops and external monitors and tablets and that kind of thing, the more I start to realize I don't think this is up to third-party developers to save. I think this is actually more a hardware debate. I think it's more about getting the battery life good enough that people could actually wear it more passively, getting the technology slim enough so that when wearing it you don't feel super dorky, finding a way so that that battery module doesn't have to sit in your pocket, and also something that I haven't tried yet because I haven't put on Vision Pro that I still think will make a big impact is like eye fatigue, motion sickness. You know, everybody that has tried Vision Pro pretty much only got a 30-minute demo, which if we're talking about a product that may potentially start replacing devices that we use for 5, 7, 10 hours a day, this is going to need to be something that makes sure we definitely don't get tired of wearing it. It doesn't cause too much sweat, and it doesn't make our eyes start to hurt or give us headaches after many hours of usage. That's actually something I'm really excited to test when Vision Pro comes out. I'll leave it plugged into the wall for that all-day battery life and do my best to see how long I can wear this thing before I start to get a headache and before my eyes start to get tired. And then on top of the hardware limitations, I think a lot of it is going to come down to the actual user interface, which most of which is up to Apple. I don't think most of that is going to be up to third-party devs, which are mostly just going to be bringing their app for a spatial computing environment, which I think will involve a lot of just scaling. Like, okay, you designed your app to run on a phone or a tablet. Now you need to design it so that it's being looked at as if it was on a 50-inch screen. So it's kind of combining how you optimize for iPadOS with also how you optimize for tvOS, but Apple's kind of already showcasing how to do that during their keynote and during their demos. Here's how the Messages app looks. Here's how the Notes app look. But you'll notice in a lot of those demos, the apps are not really that substantially different from their iPad or macOS counterparts. So what I'm trying to say is, and I haven't been able to test this yet because I don't have the headset, is that the bigger limiting factor is going to come down to, is scrolling or navigating a user interface just using your hands and your eyes, is that faster? Is that more comfortable? Is that smoother than using a touch display? I think there will be some pros and cons, like moving around a UI with just your eyes. You could probably do that faster than you move around a UI with your finger, but does all of that eye movement start to get tiring? You know, it's a completely different beast when you think about it, because most of the time, I think our most common use device across the planet is our phones, and the majority of our time we're holding it at an average distance, and our eyes are not moving around that much, maybe across a couple inches depending on how big your phone is, but your thumb is doing a lot of that motion work, or your fingers are. Now with visionOS, I think we're going to get to the point where your eyes are doing the bulk of the work, and now your fingers can kind of take a backseat because you're just kind of tapping them together, occasionally pinching and scrolling a little bit, or zooming in with two hands and that kind of thing. But for the most part, your eyes are going to be jumping around the UI. eye. And while that may be faster, maybe it causes a bit more eye soreness or eye fatigue. I don't know. Maybe they found a way to make it not that big a deal because you're still placing a screen somewhat far away from you. So, you know, if you just picture yourself darting across a 50-inch TV, I guess that's not moving your eyes all that much per se. Still a complication nonetheless that I think we might run into once people are using these things for hours and hours a day, which so far no one actually has yet. We've seen demos that people have done for just about 30 minutes, but not all day use. So the pricing, the hardware, and how streamlined you can make it, and how passive you can make it, and how fashionable it is in everyday life, I think that's by far the bigger limitation preventing this thing from going mainstream like smartphones are mainstream or laptops are mainstream. Not so much will there be, you know, an optimized Twitter app, or will Meta make a Facebook app for visionOS? Probably not, right? There's definitely a lot of killer apps I could imagine out there, like the one that actually kind of blew my mind that I've been thinking about is, okay, visionOS is cool, but I still am going to want an iPad because I want to use my Apple Pencil to draw with. Think about this for a second. With visionOS, it's going to know exactly where your hand is and exactly how you would hold an Apple Pencil or any stylus for that matter. It could be a regular old pen and paper, but when you're writing with the headset on and when you're drawing with the headset on, it can capture that in real time, digitize that like a photo scan would, like with your phone. And on top of that, if you just have an Apple Pencil, which in the future, let's say, could hypothetically pair via ultra wideband or Bluetooth, whatever, to the Vision Pro headset, that could potentially let you draw on any surface because you've got an augmented reality headset on now. I could be drawing on a table. I could be taking notes here, and it's projecting what you're drawing and even getting the angle of the stylus right, either by the cameras looking at the stylus and how you're writing, or the stylus itself, the Apple Pencil, has that data. Are they drawing at an angle? Are they pushing hard? Or are they drawing lightly? It can relay all of that information back to the headset, and you would actually be just drawing like you would with a Sharpie or a marker on walls and stuff, but now you're the only one that can see all of those drawings and all of those markings. You could add notes for someone who's forgetful in a household so that they remember, oh, here's a sticky note for me, and I can write that down really quick and only I see it, and that way it doesn't freak out everybody else in the household that doesn't need those same reminders or doesn't need all of that information to be accessible to the masses. Maybe it's a privacy thing. Maybe if you're in a household and you just want certain notes on a shared calendar that only you can see, or grocery items that only you want, you could write those down on a fridge and you could see them, but other people couldn't. Or you could work on drawings that people can't see how the progress is coming. I know a lot of artists out there that definitely don't like it when people are seeing how their artwork is coming along before it's ready. They're like, no, don't look at it. It's not done yet. With that headset on, you can do drawings and take notes and stuff without people being able to see what you're drawing and writing down. Plus, with a digital stylus, you can change the color. You can change if it's a paintbrush or a highlighter or a pencil or a pen. You can adjust all of that virtually with the AR headset. And those kinds of apps will be cool. I'm not trying to say that devs are not going to help with the wide adoption of the product, but I still think overall the hardware and the pricing and the eye fatigue are what's going to limit the potential of this product even more so. Because even if they do what I said with the Apple Pencil integration and you can draw on tables, infinite canvas size now, you're not limited to a 12.9-inch display, and with time, as those micro OLED displays get up to ProMotion, it will feel probably just as real as drawing or painting on a real surface, just now in an augmented world. That's all great, but if the headset is still $4,000 or your eyes get tired after drawing with it after just a couple hours, that's the bigger issue. That's the bigger limiting factor, in my opinion. The dev stuff is cool and important, and I'm excited to see what third-party devs come up with, but I don't agree with most others out there saying that, well, whether this product succeeds or not is going to be up to third-party developers. Maybe that's the case with the Windows Phone, which I thought was actually kind of cool. It just didn't get the third-party app support. And maybe that's the case with the Amazon Fire Phone, which was also kind of cool, but again, just didn't get the app support. But I don't think it's the case with this form factor, with this headset. I think it's a lot bigger than that. What do you guys think is the biggest limiting factors preventing this from going widespread or starting to replace a lot of our use cases on our existing products? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Alp Shape here, and I will see you all in the next one.